This is Carl with Shinjuku English Institute. In 1966, Neil Armstrong and David Scott blasted off in their Gemini spacecraft on top of an Atlas rocket. Gemini was the name of the mission system after Mercury and before Apollo, which went to the moon. In orbit, Neil and Dave docked, that means they connected, with an Agena rocket stage. Then the two spacecraft started to spin. This was dangerous. So Dave told Neil, we're in a bank, which means they were banking like an airplane when it turns, but they weren't supposed to be. So Neil, the commander, told Dave to disconnect from the Agena. This was because they thought that the spin was caused by the Agena, but they found out that it was not. When they did this, the spin got worse in 3 directions. As fast as 60 times a minute, the astronauts were in danger of passing out. This would have killed them because if they lost consciousness, the spin probably would have increased, and the oscillations, the movements in each direction, would have also increased until the craft was not flyable. They probably wouldn't have gained control. It might have spun out of the atmosphere, or it might have degraded in its orbit and burned up. But Neil kept his head, though he was probably dizzy and feeling sick. He took a chance, used the retro rockets, which was dangerous, and stopped the spin, saving their lives. The point is, those rockets were used to correct the ship's angle, and those rockets and their tanks were saved for coming back into the Earth's atmosphere. They weren't meant to be used to that extent in space. But he had to stop the ship from spinning. If any of you have seen the movie First Man, you've seen this scene played out, and it's done very dramatically. The point is, Neil kept his head, and that was not the only time in his life as a pilot where he kept his head. He stayed calm. And this is the hallmark behavior. This is the star behavior. This is the basic behavior of professional pilots and astronauts. They have to stay calm in an emergency. And this probably saved the space program, because if these astronauts had died in space, the program, which was already audacious, very, very daring, very, very dangerous, very, very strange to the American people, it was still something that the American public needed to see success in if they were going to keep paying for it. After all, the idea of going to the moon may have seemed crazy to a lot of people, and that's what Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo were all about. So had they died in orbit, that might have been the end of the space program, or at least they would have lost funding for a long time. And we are where we are today because of astronauts like Neil Armstrong and other astronauts in other situations who saved the program with keeping their head, with staying calm. Thanks. Study at Shinjuku English Institute. It might be just as exciting as spaceflight. Probably not, but we can try.